We're now joined by political analyst, Prof Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I want to get to the party manifestos that we are seeing taking place over the weekend in a moment. But let's first start and discuss the matters as it pertains to the ANC's leaked candidate list. And fundamentally, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa earlier confirming that the leak emanated from the IEC. Just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that was very unfortunate. I mean, it should never have happened in the first place. The IEC has acknowledged that it has dropped the ball in that regard. I think it does cast some aspersions about the integrity of the IEC. But at the same time, I think we can give them the benefit of the doubt, because this is not a problem on a large scale. I think it's a problem on a small scale. I hope that this doesn't happen again, though.
And just to talk about what you're saying in terms of casting doubt, I mean, we are only a few weeks away, to those crucial elections, and the number of, legal hurdles that the IEC has had to go through, following the new Electoral Act as an example. All eyes will be on the IEC. How important then is it for it to maintain its independence and its credibility at this point?
I think when all is said and done, the question will be, were the elections free and fair? And then the other question is, how do you measure that? So my view is that elections are not an event. Elections are a process. When you judge the validity or the credibility of the votes or the elections, you don't look at the day in which the electorate went to the polls to cast their votes, but you look at the build-up, the building blocks. You look at whether were there any threats, was the electoral body independent, did it have integrity, was it fair, and so on. So in the light of what has happened, it does back the question about the credibility of the IEC. However, I'm saying that because this is a problem that has never happened before, and the problem is on a small scale. I don't think the problem is on a large scale. Where there are human beings, there are problems, so we can give them the benefit of the doubt with the hope that this doesn't happen again in future. But the credibility of the elections, they are very important, because elections, they have to have a legitimacy.
Let's talk now about, the contents of that list. Of course, this is the leaked candidate list of the ANC. I mean, ahead of that press briefing that we saw yesterday by the ANC just announcing that it had finalized its list, there was a lot of anticipation to see who would have made the cut, particularly because, the Integrity Commission of the party had indicated that those implicated in any form of corruption should be barred from standing, from a public office. And yet you have some very controversial names contained on that list that is making the rounds.
I get the sense that the first thing that comes to the mind of the ANC is the ANC, not the country. If the first thing that comes to the mind of the ANC was the country, then some people would never have been there on that list. The reason why those people are there is because the ANC is concerned about its own political survival. They don't want to let go of some people on purpose, because those people might have a link with certain constituencies. Therefore, if you let go of them, those people might have broken hearts and pull out and not want to campaign on behalf of the ANC, because they know that they will not be deployed. For instance, you have a person like Zandile Kumete, who was asked to step aside because she was accused of serious allegations. But then at the same time, she was brought back to counter the influence of Mkondo Wesizwe. Then it begs the question about the seriousness of the ANC in terms of fighting against corruption.
All right, Prof, let's now talk about, of course, the manifesto launches that we are seeing this weekend. We saw, of course, the three top, in fact, the four top parties or five parties launching their manifestos. Inkatha Freedom Party launching its manifesto tomorrow. But let's look at the two that are, launching their manifestos today. We are hearing preliminary indications, of course, that 115 parties have made submissions to contest in the National Assembly. So as they go to the elections, the ACDP and Al Jamaa, what are some of the things that they need to focus on to woo voters in this highly contested election?
Well, first of all, I do acknowledge one of the constitutional provisions that everyone has a right to freedom of a religion. At the same time, I think, throughout history, religion has always contributed to societal construction. In the same breath, religion has always also contributed to social conflicts. I think one needs to be very careful in terms of the nexus between religion and politics. And I say this also as a person who subscribes to a particular religion. So there's nothing wrong in being a Christian, being a Muslim, in subscribing to the African religion and so on. But the problem is that if you abide by that as a political party, and you want to implement that when you ascend to power, it begs the question about other people who don't subscribe to that particular dogma. For instance, during apartheid, I went to school during apartheid. We were made to sing Christian songs in the assembly. The Nationalist Party promoted nation building through Christian values. And that never sat well with some people in some quarters of society.
Interesting. Prof, thank you so much for that analysis. Of course, we have run out of time, but really do appreciate your time. Of course, that was political analyst Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, just weighing in on a number of matters that are, in front of us in as far as political manifestos, as well as that ANC candidate list that was leaked